Hi, I'm Kevin and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the ALLPOWERS R600 portable power station as well as the ALLPOWERS 200 watt solar panel. I'm going to do an overview of both these products and then I'm going to get into some testing. And now that the sun is peeking out from behind the clouds, I think I'm going to have to put on the sunglasses. As I do that, I also want to thank ALLPOWERS for sending me both these products. They've been a great company to work with. What do I mean by that? Well, I get asked by an awful lot of companies to do gear reviews, and it doesn't always work out. Sometimes they reach out nice and polite, and the product seems to have some merit, and as the conversation gets going, they start to want to control the video, that kind of thing. I don't do any of that. If a company wants me to review their product, please send it to me and I'll take a look at it. If I like it, I will continue and make a video about it. That's all there is to it. No money changes hands. I'm not influenced by the company at all, other than they send me some free stuff that I get to try out and make a video, which I find a fun process. ALLPOWERS wasn't like that. In fact, they offered the power station to me, and I said, oh, you got a solar panel as well. How about I include that? They said, sure, we'll send you a solar panel, no strings attached. So thank you very much. I'm not trying to sell you the product. What I want to do is help the viewer, because if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in a power station or solar panels or both. So if you're watching this video, I want to help you make a better decision that suits your needs. So with all of that out of the way, let's take a look at both of these products. When the power station arrived, I was a little concerned because there's a pretty good puncture in the side of the box, but the power station was very well packaged and protected. In the top was the warranty card and the user manual. And the side compartment had this carrying pouch with extra cables. And under the foam was the power station itself. And here is the solar panel. So this is the ALLPOWERS R600 portable power station. 600 stands for 600 watts. That's the maximum sustained power output of this unit, although it will peak up to 1200 watts for a very short period of time. The battery has a capacity of 299 watt hours. So this is not a very large power station at all. ALLPOWERS and other companies make much larger power stations. This one is nice and compact and very, very portable. It's got a handy carrying handle here. It's about 16 pounds. In my opinion, this is ideal for car camping or short power outages. The power supply and capacity are ideal for electronics, your laptop, your cell phone, that kind of thing. You can run some minor appliances off of this, but I wouldn't push it very far. This is not designed to run heavy power tools or to do cooking or heating, that kind of thing. I will later in the video run this through some tests and see what kinds of things it'll support and what kinds of things it won't. This power station has a lithium iron phosphate battery, which I really, really like because of the longevity. Lithium iron phosphate batteries are known to recharge several thousand times. And this station has a 5-year warranty, and it's expected to last about 10 years. Lithium iron phosphate batteries tend to be a little bit heavier or larger or both when compared to a lithium ion battery. That's why lithium ion batteries are used in hand power tools, that kind of thing. Although it's a little bit heavier, it's also considered more environmentally safe and just safer in general. It handles heat surges much, much better than a lithium-ion battery does. Another great feature of this power station is that it produces a pure sine wave, which is ideal for electronics. It's a lot safer for plugging in electronics and charging cell phones and laptops, that kind of thing. Okay, let's talk for a minute about the outputs of this power station. It's got both a DC cluster of outputs and an AC cluster of outputs, and they're separated on the machine. There's a button on each to turn them on or off. The DC side turns on these two USB-A ports at 18 watts and two USB-C ports at 100 watts. A lot of laptops and new electronics work off of USB-C, and that's a quick way to charge those. As well, connected with the DC side is this car cigarette lighter charger. That's 12 volts and 10 amps. And as well, there's a wireless charging station on top for cell phones that will accept that kind of a thing. And on the alternating current or AC side, there's these two plugs right here behind these rubber covers. Those plugs both produce that pure sine wave, and they'll produce 120 volts at 600 watts. And if you look online, you'll find some older models of the R600 that has a couple of DC barrel ports right here. This unit is lacking those. I think the company is phasing those out just because they're not as common anymore. And if someone does need them, they likely have an adapter for the cigarette lighter. Those missing barrel ports on this version of the R600 were really just my first clue. As I was already into filming it and testing, I was doing more research, looking at other videos, and realized that a lot of folks, both in videos and in online comments, were complaining about the noise of the R600. And I love this unit. I find it quite quiet. And that got me thinking, and as I watched more videos, I realized there were an awful lot of other relatively minor complaints about the orientation of the plugs, both the inputs and the outputs, and about the side door not staying open. So what's clear to me now is that ALLPOWERS has done a minor overhaul of the R600. They've removed the barrel ports that almost no one uses. They've addressed many of the comments, including the loud noise, because I've certainly not experienced loud noise from this machine. And they've fixed all those minor complaints about the orientation of the input and output plugs. Even that side door seems to stay open for me. All the different power stations on the market do the same fundamental thing. They take power in, they store it for a while, and they give it back to you. But one of the things that I've noticed distinguishes different brands is the clarity and simplicity of the screen, the display screen. And this unit has an excellent display screen. It's nice and simple, very intuitive. It shows you the amount of energy stored currently in the battery in terms of watt hours. It shows you the amount of energy coming in terms of watts, and the amount of energy going out in terms of watts. And it estimates the time remaining to either a full charge or an empty battery, depending if you're gaining or losing power. It also has a number of icons at the top, which again are pretty intuitive. It tells you when the fan is running. It tells you when the unit's plugged in, and quite a number of things, including when it's connected to Bluetooth. You can also download an app for your cell phone that will connect to this device using a Bluetooth connection. And once you do that, you can control some of the features and read the inputs and outputs from your device. I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. And on the side here is where the power gets inputted. There's a little door that you open up, and there's two power inputs, the AC plug that you simply plug into the wall, and that'll take 120 volts. And we'll charge this unit in about an hour. In fact, it's very, very good. And over here is the solar input. It is an XT60 connector, and it takes up to 60 volts at 8.8 amps. And over here is the circuit breaker. So if you do overload this machine, it stops functioning because you're drawing too much power. All you got to do is open this door, push that button, and you're back in business. And the power station comes with this nice little carrying bag for your cords. Inside are the two cords that come with the unit. One is the simple AC cord that plugs the unit into the wall. And the other one has that XT60 connector that plugs into the solar input, and these MC4 connectors which attach to the solar panel. The only thing that I thought was really missing from this kit was a cord that would allow you to charge this battery from your vehicle. You can certainly do that. All you need is a cord with a cigarette lighter connector on one end that you plug into your vehicle, and on the other end of that cord you have to have that XT60 connector that goes into the solar panel. You can certainly do that. I think they didn't include a cord like that because it does take an awful long time to charge a battery in that manner, and you have to have the vehicle running. So for me, it would really only be practical to recharge a battery like this if you're on a long road trip. If you are interested in charging the power station from your vehicle, no worries. You can easily find those cords online or in hardware stores. They run between $8 and $20 depending on the length of the cord. All right, let's take a look at the solar panel. I won't open it up right now. I'll do that when I run the test, but it opens up very easily. It's got these two clips on the top here, and the whole thing unfolds, and it's supported by these legs that are on the outside. What this comes with on the back here is another pouch, and inside are a whole variety of cables and connectors. There's this main cable here with the MC4 connectors that connect to the cord that connects with the power station, and there's a whole bunch of other cords in here that connect with different systems. What's clear to me is that the rest of the cables and cords in here are designed to help this solar panel connect with other power stations and other batteries. So what I've got here is a simple cable with the MC4 connectors which connect to this solar panel, and then it's got a power pole connector which is common on other power stations. As well, I've got an MC4 connector on this cable, and the other end has a barrel connector, which again is fairly common on other power stations. And there's a whole bunch of adapters here that will help you connect that barrel connector to other size connectors or different styles of power input. And the last set of cords in here again has that MC4 connector, so you can connect to the solar panel, and the other end has a positive and negative clamp to clamp onto a battery to charge a battery. I would not use this. I know from experience, I have solar panels on my tent trailer and I often charge the battery, but to do that safely requires a power controller unit. They're very cheap, you can get them at hardware stores. So I wouldn't use this on its own without a power controller. I don't think there's a power controller on this solar panel at all. So like I said, the unit opens up very easily. I'll open it part way right now. Undo those clips, and inside are 4 different solar panels. There's 2 of them there. Okay, let's run both the power station and the solar panels through some testing and see how they perform. A few days ago, the weather was unseasonably warm, and it was a great day to get out and test the solar panel. It unfolds very easily. The only trick I had was to balance it on my picnic table because I wanted to use it on my back deck. And there's 3 of the 4 legs that support the solar panels, and they're supported by this elastic strap that holds them at about a 45-degree angle. Now all you have to do is plug in the MC4 connectors and then plug in the XT60 connection to the power station, and you are in business. For optimal performance of the solar panels, you want to point them as directly towards the sun as possible. My challenge with solar power during the winter is that I live at a relatively northern latitude. I live at about 48 degrees north latitude, and at this time of the year the sun is very, very low on the horizon. That's the angle of the sun at 1 o'clock in the afternoon coming through the trees on the horizon, so I'm not getting full sunlight, full power to those panels, but I was getting some really good charge. Those solar panels were consistently producing 110, 112 watts, sometimes peaking at 120. While I'm charging up the battery with the sun, let's run some stuff and charge some stuff. Let's plug in a portable fridge to the car charging outlet. And as soon as you turn that on, the fridge starts. That's great. And the fridge alone pulls about 64 watts. We'll do some more significant testing in a minute, but I thought I'd just plug in some normal things that you might plug in on a camping trip. There's the fridge. I have an iPad on the go and a speaker charging. I'm using both the DC and the AC. And if these things weren't casting a shadow on the solar panels, the way I've got them arranged here, I would be producing a surplus of energy. So this just gives you an idea that this is a good size power station for car camping trips and this kind of light application. Now let's take this power station inside and do more rigorous testing. First, some light power tools. First up, a palm sander, and it runs. No problem. It surges for a second but stabilizes at about 130 watts, so I could probably run this for a little more than a couple hours. When I run the sander again through my meter, I find that it's pulling about 1.3 amps. Not very much current. Now let's try this jigsaw that has a larger, more powerful motor. And what does it do? Not enough power to turn the motor. Now I'm not sure why you might do this, but I learned something through trial and error. If you plug the power station into the wall and then try and run the jigsaw, it runs perfectly fine. Now the jigsaw is only pulling about 350 watts, which is well under the limits of this power station, but I think it's the amperage that is causing the induction motor of the jigsaw to not turn over. Appliances that generate heat are also a challenge for power stations, so let's try this little heater fan. First the fan. When we turn on the fan, we're pulling about 16 watts. Now let's turn on the heater to the first level and see what that does. Takes a second to kick in, but that starts pulling 420 watts on the first level of heat. Let's up that to the second level. 486, 824, we're way over the limit of the machine, and it kicks out. The power station can surge up to 1200 watts for a very short period of time, but it can't sustain 800 watts. No worries, we just reset the breaker and we're back in business. I can run this fan for about 15 hours, but I certainly can't run the heater for very long. Now let's give this coffee maker a try. Some power stations will run a coffee maker, some won't. This is kind of a small power station, but let's give it a shot. Okay, let's turn this on. And it starts pulling power, 445, 782, 780, and then it kicks off. Just can't sustain 778 for very long. Now let's test out the UPS feature of this power supply. Not all power supplies have a UPS feature. UPS stands for uninterrupted power supply. A UPS device is designed to keep a flow of power, usually to sensitive equipment like computers, during a power outage. That way you don't lose valuable information. So let's see how the UPS functions. Is it good enough for a computer? First, I'll try it on a lamp to show you what 10 milliseconds of interrupted power looks like, and then we'll try it on my own computer. Got the power supply charging, and I have a lamp plugged into the power supply. You'll notice that the UPS icon is showing on the screen. Now I'm going to turn on the lamp to its highest setting, and it pulls about 5 watts. And now I'm going to unplug the power supply. Watch for the light. Did you see that? It just went off for 10 milliseconds. That again, you should see just a slight flicker. 10 milliseconds of power interruption. Let's find out if that shuts down my computer. So now I'll plug in my computer to the power supply, which is charging from the wall. I'll turn on the power to the computer. And yes, I do have a big tower computer designed for video editing. It's really a gaming station, which has lots of bells and whistles and lights on the inside. So you'll see that when I turn on the computer. It's going to start up. Lots of lights and wizardry inside the machine. I'm pulling 115 watts, which is a little bit different than what the display on the power station is showing. I think the power station kind of varies quite a bit when you have it charging and discharging at the same time. The UPS icon is on, and I'm going to unplug the machine and see what happens to the computer. If the lights go out, I'm in trouble. If they stay on, this is working. Here we go. Success! All the lights are on. The computer did not shut off. Certainly trust this power station to be a UPS device. Now let's do a noise test to find out how loud this power station actually is. I found the fan on the power station was noisiest when it was charging. So here's my decibel meter, and I'm getting about 33, 34 decibels at about a foot away from the machine, which is really, really good. 30 decibels is about the sound of whispers or leaves rustling. Now if I put the decibel meter closer to the power station, I'm going to get a higher reading. I'm going to get about 50 decibels. That's still not very significant, especially that close. Normally these tests are done 3 feet away from the source of the noise. So 46 to 50 decibels is pretty acceptable. While I've got my gadgets out, let's take a look at the heat that this unit produces. It certainly produces heat, but as I touch it, you'll notice that my hand is actually hotter than the power station. It's been charging for a couple hours now. If you look inside, you see that heat is being generated, but overall it is not any warmer than the surface of my hand. Much hotter in the back where those batteries are likely located. But again, my hand is much hotter than the power station. Let's do an efficiency test and find out how many of those 299 watt hours we actually get. So this is the setup for the test. I'm going to use this fan as the draw, and I'm going to use my energy meter to measure the amount of power consumed during the test in kilowatt hours. I'm going to turn on the fan, and I'm going to set it to run for as long as the battery will last, and it's going to run at about 15 watts. This clip is partway through the test when I was at about 76% battery. You'll see that the screen shows 10 hours left to run. And this is from the beginning of the test. You'll notice that the screen shows 13 hours runtime forecasted. After the test, when the battery is dead, I'm going to pull the meter and see how much power was consumed. I'm pretty disappointed that I'm only getting 163 watt hours. So that was really disappointing. 56% is not what other reviewers are finding. I really question whether I'm doing this right. I'm using the same meter that many other reviewers use, and it's proven to be accurate many times before. No one expects to get 100% efficiency out of one of these machines. Usually about 85, sometimes 90% is what you get. I ran this test both at a high draw at over 400 watts and a low draw at 15 watts, and I'm getting about the same result, which is really strange. The other strange thing is I'm getting the forecasted runtime that the power station was projecting. It projected 13 hours. I timed it at 13 hours 20 minutes at that 15 watt pull. So I'm really puzzled. If you have some insights into this, please leave them in the comments below. So let's take a look and test out the app that you can download to manage this power station. First off, it isn't very intuitive how to turn on the Bluetooth function of the power station. The manual isn't clear, but when you do go to the frequently asked questions part of the manual, it tells you to hold down the DC power button for 3 seconds, and then the Bluetooth icon will appear on the screen. Once you do that, you can open up the app on your phone, and it will let you connect to the power station via Bluetooth. The app gives you a very good display of what's happening with your power station, what's the remaining charge, how much is going in, and how much is going out. You can also use the app to control the power station in a number of ways, such as turning on or off the AC, or turning the DC on or off. You can also turn the light on or off. Oh yeah, it's got a light. You can go deeper into the app on this second screen and play around with the different modes. It's got a standard mode as well as a mute mode, which is supposed to run quieter. I didn't find it quieter. I just found that the mute mode didn't charge the battery as aggressively. It came up to 99% and wouldn't really top up to 100%. It also has a fast mode, which certainly charges the battery much faster. Both standard mode and fast mode will get your battery 100% full. There is also an eco mode, which allows you to tell the power station to turn off at different intervals, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 hours. I'm going to leave mine on standard mode all the time. When you first connect your app to the power station, it requires your precise location. It will not connect without providing that information. So I found the app kind of interesting, but also very disappointing at the same time. It's interesting in that you can control the power station with an app. Not a lot of power stations have that function, so that's interesting. You can use it. It's a bit of a novelty, though, to turn things on or off with your phone. I don't see much use for that because the Bluetooth connection is very limited in terms of its distance. Once you leave the room that the power station is in, you're going to lose that connection. And so what's the point unless the power station is in a closet or something like that? The disappointing part is that before the app will connect to the power station, you have to provide the app your precise location, which I find quite intrusive. So for that reason, I'm not going to use the app. I used it for this video, but I'm going to delete it from my phone and never use it again. So overall, what do I think of the R600 ALLPOWERS power station and solar panel? Well, the solar panel I absolutely loved. I got way more performance out of that than anticipated. With my low light conditions at this time of year, I was getting about 60% efficiency. No solar panel is going to give you 100% efficiency, so I was very pleased with that. I'm sure I'm going to approach 90% efficiency at other times of the year. I also found that solar panel to be very light and easy to use compared to other solar panels that I own. Now let's talk about what I liked and didn't like about the power station. There was lots that I liked, and overall I found this to be an excellent, affordable, small power station, very suitable for recharging electronics, whether you're camping or during a power outage. I think it's ideal under those conditions. One of the things I liked about this power station was how quiet it was. I know previous reviews of the previous model were unfavorable, but I found this power station to be exceptionally quiet, especially compared with other power stations that I own. The other thing I really appreciated about this power station was how quickly it charges. It advertises a max 400 watt charge rate, which you get for most of the charge. Between 20% charge and 80%, it tends to give you that full charge, but the battery management system protects the battery below 20% and above 80%, and it just tapers off as you get to that full 100% charge. So I would say this machine gets very, very close to a full charge in an hour, and it takes a little, another 10 or so minutes to top it up. I also really like that this power station has a lithium iron phosphate battery. That's going to give you a long life. They advertise 3,500 charges, and they provide a 5-year warranty. So that's pretty darn good. That's going to give you some assurance that your investment in this power station is going to last. The other really big surprise for me and a big bonus was that you can use this power station as a UPS, an uninterrupted power supply. I tested this out with my own machine, and it worked very, very well. So that's a big, big bonus. I am certainly going to use this as a UPS in the future. I really only had 2 big cons for this machine. One was my measured, and I say measured because I'm not sure if my test was off, but my measured efficiency rate. I got an efficiency of 56% of that 299 watt-hour capacity. I'm not entirely sure what was going on. The battery was running as long as it said it was going to run, but I was not measuring that with a quality meter. So I may swap out my meter and try again. But yeah, 56% wasn't great. Other folks are getting 85% when they do this test, which is the norm. So could be me. And the other negative for me was the app. I sort of like the concept, but it doesn't work from much of a range. And because the app requires that you provide your precise location, I will not use that app. All right, guys, that's my review of the R600 ALLPOWERS power station and 200 watt solar panel. Overall, I really, really loved this equipment. I thought it was top notch, and I'm certainly going to use it in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please hit like, share, and subscribe. As always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.